Derbyite, I'm here with Charles Bright, Matt Noble, and Zach Laws to talk about the Golden Globe TV nominations that were announced this morning in LA. There's plenty to talk about. I'm going to go to you first, Charlie. I'd like to know, what do you think was the most surprising thing that you saw out of the nominations this morning?
Well, part of the surprising thing was definitely who was nominated, and I think probably the most surprising on that end was Katherine Langford. I was very, very surprised, pleasantly surprised. I thought her performance in 13 Reasons Why was amazing. And but it did catch me off guard because that show has kind of been off the radar. It's been, it came out last February, back in February, I think. So it was definitely very jarring to see her there, and a pleasant surprise. In terms of people who did get in, though, that was very surprising. I'm still wondering how are Bob Odenkirk and Liev Schreiber still getting in here? Now, I must preface this. I love both of them. I think their performances are great, but these are shows that the Globes haven't really rallied around, except for Jon Voight winning in Ray Donovan's first season, but a lot of us attribute that to Jon Voight being a movie star rather than overall love for the show itself. So I'm still very confused by this, and I didn't think they would get in. I took them out at the last minute last night, regretting that one now. But it's something that's confusing me. How come they're still nominating them, even though there's no like overall affinity for their shows?
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Matt, what do you think?
I've got a lot of negative thoughts about some of the snubs, but I might as well start with something positive since I think I led with negative on the film side of things. And just fantastic to see a show like The Marvelous Miss Maisel with Rachel Brosnahan get in. She's been a fantastic sort of actress doing guest work in House of Cards, supporting work in Manhattan. She's got a lead role in a comedy here, and no one was really calling her or predicting her to get in, and she's in today. So sort of warmed my heart when I saw that sort of pop up. I thought, oh, that's great. This is someone that you wouldn't think to get nominated. She's been working hard in TV and a whole range of different types of roles over the past couple of years, and she's in. She's got she did get an Emmy nomination for House of Cards a couple of years ago in the guest category, but best lead actress, Golden Globe. Good job, Rachel.
Pretty good. Zach?
Well, there's a lot to be disappointed about what's not here, but what is here that makes me happy is the inclusion of Kyle MacLachlan for Twin Peaks. Surprisingly, that's the only nomination for this show, but I'll take it. I'm happy that Kevin Bacon got in for I Love Dick, and Alison Brie for Glow, but there's just a lot of where the hell is Mindhunter and Jonathan Groff, and where the hell is The Deuce and James Franco? Maggie Gyllenhaal got in. Curb Your Enthusiasm completely ignored. And it's just kind of, I don't know what they were thinking this year.
And I'm very happy for The Handmaid's Tale. Not a surprise. I'm super happy for Anne Dowd. Katherine Langford, that was one of my no guts, no glory predictions. I'm really happy that I got that because I pretty much did terribly everywhere else. I'm very happy to see Caitriona Balfe for Outlander. It's very hard to be nominated for a third season show 3 years in a row or 2 years in a row, whatever it is for her. And that's great. And I'm super, super happy for people like Sterling K. Brown, although I would have liked to see Milo Ventimiglia. I'm pretty happy overall. The comedy categories are a bit of a mess. Where's Matt LeBlanc? Where's Tracy Ellis Ross? Smilf? Really? Okay. Where are the 3 other actors from Will and Grace? Who has done better work than those people in comedy this year? I probably couldn't point to many. So, I have some issues with that. Where's Noah Schnapp? Where's the Game of Thrones actors? There's a whole bunch of people missing from here, but if we want to look at something that we're really happy about, it's good to see Jason Bateman from Ozark. That's good for that show. Get some recognition. Jeffrey Rush is in there, and who's not there as well are people who have been kind of tarred with that sexual assault, sexual harassment scandal brush like Kevin Spacey, and even people like Jeffrey Tambor, who may or may not be innocent, and yet that show's been completely wiped off the board. So yeah, a little confusing, these nominations, and nothing terribly exciting. I thought we'd move on then to, like, we've already talked about some snubs, but let's just think about what else has been snubbed that you think is just completely out of order. Charlie, what comes to mind? I know you, Zach, and I are the Twin Peaks kind of groupies, but I guess that's the one thing that kind of stands out, right?
Yeah, I mean, that is just, it's so, you know, I was debating last night. I was looking at my predictions, and I was debating taking Twin Peaks out. But then I just didn't see anything that I thought was going to take its place. And then we saw The Sinner and the sequel to Top of the Lake make it instead. Especially after this is a show that the Globes really rallied around. Now, yes, that was almost 30 years ago, but still, you know, it stings, especially because, you know, this was so well received, and you know, it really was just a huge mystery going into it what it was going to be, and the fact that it turned out as well as it did, I really thought that HFPA would really rally around it. Also, just with the exception of David Harbour, no acting nominations for Stranger Things. I was very surprised about that. Yeah, I'm still kind of processing it, but it's still taking a lot. It's still taking a lot to process.
This show, Twin Peaks, I mean, it ended up on both the Sight and Sound and Cahiers du Cinema lists of the best films of the year. You know, I mean, it's kind of, I wonder if maybe that's part of the reason why, because last week we saw it get completely ignored at the Critics' Choice TV Awards in their nominations. No Kyle MacLachlan, nothing.
That was more surprising to me.
Yeah, and so, I mean, it's like, is there some kind of resentment here or something that it's so acclaimed? Or, I mean, it's just, I guess that it would make more sense to me if it was snubbed across the board at the Emmys for that reason. But I mean, here it's like these are journalists and critics who are voting. I don't know what the deal is.
And they like David Lynch. You know, I mean, remember Mulholland Drive received 4 Golden Globe nominations, including Best Picture. You know, it's just it's very frustrating. You know, that's something on that level that actually exceeded expectations for so many people. Is just left out, except for Kyle MacLachlan's great performance. And if there's any plus side to this, I think Kyle MacLachlan does actually have a very solid chance of winning this.
Yeah, Matt.
Yeah, like Twin Peaks, it is a somewhat polarizing show. It's
it's not a masterpiece.
He's right. It is polarizing.
Sometimes,
shut up, Marcus.
Sometimes the greatest masterpieces are polarizing, and yeah, they're not two mutually exclusive comments. Anyway, for me, like, I think in terms of biggest snubs, in terms of merit, to see Veep and Better Call Saul not in the series races and Veep sort of completely snubbed is shocking. But with the Globes, I'm not expecting shows in their 4th or 5th seasons or 6th season or whatever to be getting nominated. I guess Better Call Saul's just had 3, but they do seem a bit old, so I wasn't too shocked by that. To not see, and I get this is a bit sort of inconsistent because it's technically night season, to see Curb Your Enthusiasm snubbed to me is huge. It's aired the last month. It's fresh in mind. It came back with a really strong season. This was a show that the Golden Globes really embraced early on, and was one of, they gave it a Best Comedy Series and a Best Lead Actor award, which at a time before it had really won awards like that anywhere else. And to see it miss out, yet, Will and Grace return and so many other new shows break in, to me was quite surprising. And just in comedy, you got this mishmash of people. Like, it seems like they've tried to go for as many shows as possible, as many new shows, but that's the Globes. That's how they break. Every year we've got people that we're not expecting come into these categories.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think most surprising for me, I mean, there's a lot of surprises here, but we were all kind of expecting American Gods to maybe make an impact, and instead it made an impact with the Critics' Choice and not here, where we thought this would have been more, you know, done well because, you know, the Globes love to honour every network as possible. That's why you've got some Showtime here, and so you've got some HBO, and you've got Netflix and Amazon and Hulu, and they're all represented. And Stars is represented by Outlander with that one nomination, I think, and that's it. Even USA's got, you know, they got what's his name, Christian Slater back, which is surprising, you know. So that surprised me, I think. Let's focus before we go on the one nomination that we're super excited about that we haven't already raised. Who would like to pipe in first?
I already said mine. You know, there's
there's not much more to say, really.
Can I say one more snub? Can I say one more egregious snub here? 2 years in a row. Well, they bring Kristen Bell out to announce their nominations.
Oh yes,
completely skunk one of the best comedies on television, The Good Place.
Yeah.
For her, for Ted Danson, for series.
Yeah, I even had it written down. Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Like, what the hell? I don't understand it. That's
going to be the quote of my article. It's just going to be Globe TV nominations. What the hell? I think that is egregious. What an egregious error. Okay, but does anyone else have a favourite before we wrap up? Because we've all pretty much talked about what we loved and hated.
It's nice to see Freddie Highmore. Nice to see him break in for a new show. Yeah. That was a deserved performance. I like that, even though it's confusing as to why, I like that Bob Odenkirk is in there. I think that was very deserved. Here's my prediction. Frankie Shaw wins for Smilf.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's her, Rachel Brosnahan.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's either her, yeah, because they both have their shows nominated. That's key, and so I think you're onto something there. I've got to say, like, I am happy for a lot of these people, and we've already mentioned people like Caitriona Balfe, I mean, even Elizabeth Moss and so forth. But I'm still just really surprised that so many people, like from Will and Grace, missed out. Sean Hayes, Megan Mullally, and Deborah Messing, I would have thought would have been shoo-ins. I know that the Globes have a really difficult history with Will and Grace, but what makes me happy is that Eric McCormack is there, and I think he is so underrated. In fact, I would say he's one of the highlights of this particular reboot or revival of Will and Grace. He's so good. I would love to see him win, and his show is nominated, so there is a possibility there. The only other show
I think Aziz wins.
Yeah, I think you're right. Given that Master of None's in there, in Best Comedy Series, he's probably up there. But it's really between him and Anthony Anderson and Eric McCormack at this rate.
Well, don't forget Kevin Bacon. I mean, last year we saw it was the movie star in the pack, Mr. Billy Bob Thornton, who beat all those TV people for Goliath.
True.
And not for nothing, I Love Dick is one of the best new shows of the year. And I wish it would have gotten more nominations for Kathryn Hahn, an actress, for instance.
Yeah, I will. Yeah. Like, I will say this with these sorts of with Will and Grace, and call me a cynic, but back in the day with Will and Grace, there are a lot of NBC shows it was competing against. This year, it was the only NBC place to go, and the Globe's Air on NBC, hosted by Seth Meyers.
Are you calling the Hollywood Foreign Press a quid pro quo organization? I will not hear of such things.
Take what you want. Take what you want from my comment. No, I'll let my comment speak for itself.
Yeah, that's all you need to say. All right, thank you guys. I think we'll reconvene in a few weeks, talk about our predictions, but that's where we're at. Everybody stick with Gold Digger. We have plenty more Globe coverage coming up. Thanks.
Dun, dun, dun.